Hello, and welcome back to the Garden of Grace devotion. My name is Pastor Katie, and I'm one of the pastors at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lilburn, Georgia. Today, I greet you on November the 9th, which is the day after midterm elections in the United States. And this morning, as I woke up and as I read some of the headlines, I found myself thinking, what do we do now? We've been through this whole season of campaigns and commercials and ads and flyers and signs. We've had the opportunity to cast our vote, absentee or in person, hopefully. Now the votes have been counted, the results have been tallied. And what do we do? I imagine there are some people that are very excited, and I imagine that there are some people that are very discouraged. Wherever today finds us, what do we do now? As I thought about this morning and started finding my way through my day, the prayer that came to mind for me in response to the question, what do we do now, is one of my favorite prayers. It's a well-known prayer, particularly to those who are part of a 12-step program. The prayer that came to mind for me is the Serenity Prayer. The most popular version of this prayer reads, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This prayer has been one of my favorites throughout my life. It is wonderful in times of joy and in times of frustration. It is a prayer for serenity in all seasons. You may be thinking, what is serenity? It sounds good, it sounds peaceful, but what is it? Serenity is the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. Serenity is the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. So what if I read the prayer again in that way? God, grant me the ability to be calm, peaceful, and untroubled, so that I may accept the things I cannot change. God, help me to have the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. This prayer, this serenity prayer, this prayer to be in a state of calm, peaceful, and untroubled in our lives is a prayer that goes back a long way. It's attributed to Reinhold Niebuhr in the early 1930s. Apparently, it was part of a sermon that he wrote, and he offered to, I want to say a Methodist. He offered it to Heath Evangelical Union Church in Massachusetts. Reinhold Niebuhr, a famous theologian, wrote this prayer as part of a sermon, and he offered it. He offered it in his sermons throughout the 1930s. And that is where it spread to the 12-step group, Alcoholics Anonymous. This group, AA, adopted the prayer officially in 1936. It was well circulated enough that it was referenced as common knowledge. And by 1944, this prayer, the Serenity Prayer, was adopted by the Federal Council of Churches to be printed in the prayer book issued to Army chaplains and circulated in the prayer books, in the prayer cards given to soldiers during World War II. What challenging times. What challenging times and what an interesting format to find the Serenity Prayer. A prayer for peace and calming and centeredness. I talked about this prayer the other day with an acquaintance, with a neighbor. And he shared with me that a lot of times for him, this prayer begins with a feeling of unsettledness. It interested me that he talked about how when he starts the prayer, he's not usually feeling serene. But the prayer is a pathway to serenity for him. I found that so interesting because when I pray this prayer, a lot of times it's a prayer that I need to pray over and over again because I get to the end and I've prayed for the courage to change something that really I should let go. And I've prayed for the ability to let go of something that really I should be trying to change. This prayer, I find myself sometimes on a loop with it. And I wonder if any of you all have experienced the same. But this prayer, the Serenity Prayer, it reminds me of my agency in life each day, that the world isn't something that just happens around me, that there are some things that I cannot change, and there are some things that I can. And praying to God for wisdom to help me understand which things to let go of and which things to speak out against or to stand up for, I think is a core part of our journey in our lives of faith. I've also joked over the years that this is a prayer that you can pray in all kinds of different tones of voice. You can pray it angry, when you're really frustrated with somebody or something. You can pray it softly when you're feeling at peace to begin with. You can pray it through gritted teeth. You can pray it with a smile on your face. This prayer is a prayer that readily meets us all the days of our lives. And it has been used for such a long, long time. So today, I greet you and I leave you with the words of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I pray that this prayer brings you comfort and hope. And may God's peace be with you today and always. Amen.